appreciation of the capabilities, functioning, and limits of computer science and technology, a combination of common sense and imagination, an understanding of society, human nature, and economics, and a real appreciation of morality, law, and ethics. Not many people have this combination of talents, but any reader of robot rules regulating artificial intelligence will, I think, agree that Jacob Turner has demonstrated that he has. The earlier chapters in this book set the scene, and then discuss a number of important and challenging issues of principle and practice which will be thrown up by AI. These chapters include some facts about AI which are not only little known and interesting, but help to explain where we have got to so far. For instance, AI has been with us for well over half a century, in ways which Jacob Turner describes, and this means that we have experience, as well as imagination, to guide us to the future. He also explains that AI involves different concepts. Indeed, its very definition is a matter of contention, and he provides his own, to my mind rather satisfying, definition. In addition, when discussing concepts, Jacob Turner brings what could be a dry topic to life by briefly, but illuminatingly, tracing their history and by raising very profound questions. Thus, when considering the question whether robots should have rights, he traces the development of animal rights. And his discussion of the debate as to whether robots can be said to have feelings raises deep metaphysical and moral questions as to the nature of consciousness and compassion, not to mention sex, and even the existence of the human soul. And in the chapter discussing whether robots should have a legal personality, a number of vivid examples are given, including robots in the boardroom and the random dark net shopper. In two chapters of particular fascination for lawyers, but also for interested non-lawyers, Jacob Turner explains why AI is already starting to require changes to some fundamental legal concepts such as agency and causation, and he considers how certain principles of liability could be adjusted to incorporate AI in criminal law and in negligence, product liability, vicarious liability, contract, insurance, and IP in civil law. There is also an explanation as to how and why AI is an unprecedented technological development, particularly with the advent of unsupervised machine learning, that is, machines learning without human input, as famously recently occurred with AlphaGo Zero, and no doubt in due course learning from other machines. In a nutshell, it is not only because AI will be so far-reaching in its effects, but also because it will be able to consider issues and resolve them both independently of, and unpredictably to, humans. This gives rise to a host of specific problems which this book identifies and illuminatingly discusses. In effect, as Jacob Turner suggests, these problems can be divided into three categories, albeit that, at least when it comes to solutions, the three categories will, I think, be interconnected. First, the issue of rights. Should we be granting robots legal personality, like we treat companies, for example, as having a legal personality? To me, the argument that we should do so has real logical attraction. A company cannot act off its own bat. It can only act through humans. AI, by contrast, although formed by humans, albeit maybe only indirectly, will be able to act off its own initiative. But the very fact that companies can only act through humans renders the notion of their having legal personality and liability less threatening to our ideas of normality. Giving robots legal personality brings home to us that, at least in some important respects, they are really like artificial people. Second, the issue of responsibility. Who is liable if AI causes any sort of damage? And who owns the intellectual property which is created by AI? If robots are granted a legal personality, the answer may be simple: the robots themselves. If they are not, then these questions become very thorny, but the answer may lie with their creator or vendor, or, if they are altered or not properly maintained, their operator, if there is such a person. As this